subtopic applies to both the US and Canadian payroll modules. All transaction and data entry screens are identical in both applications. To start, payroll integration with PJC begins in Setup. In the GL integration window, if you select to use the Cost Center Override feature, you can also select to have Cost Center overrides apply to PJC accounts as well. This gives you some flexibility in allowing labor costs to be allocated to specific departmental WIP accounts. In the setup of earnings and deductions, for earning and accrual codes, you can enter billing rates by currency by selecting the zoom button next to the billing rates field. You can assign billing rates to any earning or accrual calculation method. This allows you to define a billing rate per earning code. For overtime schedules, you can define billing rate multipliers for overtime schedules that are paid out with a rate multiplier. Finally, for shift differential schedules, you can define billing rates by currency for each shift in a shift schedule. Next, in employee records, you can choose to override default billing rates defined in earnings and deductions setup by selecting the earning or accrual code and clicking on the zoom button next to the override billing rate field. You can access this field in the grid on the pay page by scrolling to the right or by zooming in on a specific line with the F9 key on your keyboard. For percent of base earning calculations, there is an option to allow you to allocate job-related details to the same jobs as the base earnings. As you can see here, billing rates do not come from PJC as default, but rather the earnings setup. Also, billing rates can be employee-specific. Once the setup is complete, you can begin to enter job-related transactions in payroll. The only difference to a normal payroll process, and one that includes job details, is the time card entry. A time card allows you to specify job-related details that will update PJC actuals. On a time card, once the header information is entered, you can select the job-related checkbox. In the detail lines, you can enter the hours that the employee has worked. This can be date-specific or a lump sum hour entry. You can then scroll to the right to access the Jobs column, or you can use the F9 key on your keyboard to access the detail window for the line entry. Once in the detail window, you can click on the zoom button next to the Jobs field to enter job-related information. You can specify contract, project, and category details, as well as hours and GL accounts. And if you are billing in detail, the billing type and billing rate. Note that for standard projects, the employee must first be assigned to the project. Also note that for the category field, only labor cost class categories are available. You do not need to allocate the full amount of hours to jobs. You can enter partial amounts to jobs and leave the balance as regular hours. For expense reimbursements, you enter the same way, except that you can select any cost class for the category. Once the job-related details are entered on the time card, the normal payroll continues. You calculate payroll, print your pre-check register, and then print the checks and post the payroll. Once the payroll is posted, actuals are updated in PJC contract maintenance. The differences between entering job-related payroll here and entering time cards in PJC are several. First, time cards entered in PJC update actuals in PJC as soon as the time cards are posted, regardless of when they are sent to payroll for payment processing. Next, time cards entered in PJC do not allow for allocations of shift premiums and overtime amounts to jobs. When entering job-related payroll in the payroll module, PJC is only updated once the payroll process is complete and posted. In other words, you will only be able to bill for labor costs based on the payroll cycle. However, both shift premiums and overtime amounts are allocated to the job based on their calculations in payroll. Of course, job-related information can be shown on payroll processing reports like the pre-check and payroll registers. Job-related information can also be viewed on the employee activity window. Finally, let's take a look at entering transactions in accounts receivable.